10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame Induction and Awards Gala. Actually, it's presented by Four Wheel Parts. I'm Bob Bauer, and I'm lucky enough to be your host tonight. I'm so glad to be back, and we're going to have a good time, and it starts right now. Let me introduce to the stage tonight Mr. Johnny Campbell, who will provide us with the invocation.
And so Chappie couldn't be here tonight, so you get me. You're welcome. All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, God, we invite you here to this room tonight, God, and in this awesome event that honors champions of our sport and champions of the human race, God. And Lord, we just want you here. We want you in our lives. Thank you for blessing our sport and blessing it with just an amazing group of people and individuals and teams and families. And Lord, we just ask a blessing on our meal and a blessing on this night. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Johnny. Well, you're here. Yeah, you made it. And some of you traveled pretty darn far to get here, and that's not easy these days. We know that. So an extra welcome to you all that travel a far distance. You know, this is Off-Road's biggest night. And the history that sits in this room amongst all of us is absolutely awesome. In fact, you know, something I'd recommend to folks like this, think about where you are right now, what we're doing here, and who we're doing it with. I think that if you're smart, just take a look around the room. Stop what you're doing just for a sec. Look around the room, snapshot it for your memory, because it'll be a story in about 10 years. And if you don't snapshot it now, it'll never be a story. Think of that. So just give yourself a shot at taking a memory home with you that you know you have. Yes, I agree. And you know, we were on the carpet with the stickers are and all that, in the Sonoma room with the auction and all that stuff. And you know, have you noticed that all the stories that we were hearing, every room full of stories. In fact, they were great stories. They were fun stories. And here's something I noticed. There was tellers and there were listeners. Now, when you look at it, at least my observation is that the tellers, you know, you could kind of sense the tellers had the experience they were talking about, and the listeners were hungry for that experience. That's the deal. That's what drives us all. It's those stories. It really is. And let me have just a special attention to our inductees, every one of you, new or old. Here's what's going on. Know this. Think about it. Your stories of the past are the dreams of others, and they become activities for others too. So don't stop telling stories. Ormhoff has a story too. You may not realize this, but tonight is the 45th anniversary of the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. It's our sapphire year. Everything's blue. You know, it was started in 1978 by a guy named Ed Perlman. He's the one that, he came up with the Nora Mexican 1000. And yes, he's Mike Perlman's daddy, okay? He started the Hall of Fame in 78, put in 16 people, and then put in about 5 more in the next year. And it was nice, but trouble was, that Hall of Fame went dormant, absolutely dormant. It ended up in a box, in a closet, in the dark, for 25 years. Enter 1995, Ed Perlman comes up to Reno for the Reno 400 that Rod Hall was pulling off, hands him a white box full of stuff, and says, here's the Hall of Fame. Well, Rod got a hold of it, opened it, went through it, and was surprised. The stuff he found in there, he realized is our history. And he also recognized with this sort of a history, we can provide a future, a dream of future for others. So he set upon the goal of finding a home for the Hall of Fame. In 2003, he succeeded, and it was a really pleasant memory. I remember being at the ribbon cutting in Reno, and one of the original inductees, Pete Condos, inducted in 1978, said to Rod and me, he got us close, he said, listen, just keep it going. Keep it going. And so 20 years later, 98 inductees later, the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame is not only healthy, but it's flourishing, and it's mostly because of the support from people like you. So thank you very much. And I'll tell you, it wouldn't have been that long a story. It would have been a lot shorter if it were not for people like we have on our board of directors. You know, they give so generously, I can say that, generously of their time. Our chairman, Mr. Mark McMillan, is not able to be with us tonight. He's okay, everything's fine. He had a family obligation. But the good news is, the bench runs pretty deep at the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame Board of Directors. And so we have with us tonight Mr. Frank D'Angelo, Vice Chairman, 2013 inductee. So Frank, come on up.
Wow, what an introduction. Well, welcome everyone, and on behalf of the Board of Directors, we want to thank you all for coming and supporting the 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame Gala Induction Ceremony. We also want to congratulate all of tonight's Hall of Fame inductees, impact recipients, and other award winners. And I want to take a pause for a moment and a very special thank you to Michael Gahn for hosting us once again. Michael, are you in the room? Now, I think Brandon's over there, though, I think. Okay, thank you and thank your dad for hosting us and for the powerful support he gives to the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to be here tonight to celebrate without Four Wheel Parts. Four Wheel Parts, I believe this is their 3rd year of being the sponsor for this induction ceremony. And we have so many other sponsors also that we would like to thank all of them for their great contribution to the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame in this very special evening. If you look in the program, you will find a page that has a list of the board of directors for the Hall of Fame. If you get a moment tonight and run into one of them or many of them, please stop and thank them for their contributions. As Bob touched upon earlier, the dedication, the time spent to keep the Hall of Fame going, and not just going, but moving forward, it is amazing what these individuals give. So to the Board of Directors for the Motorsports Hall of Fame, thank you very much. You know, The Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame has one major function a year, and each and every one of you are here tonight supporting that function, either through your membership, through your participation. We've got the silent auction going on, and we truly appreciate everyone's involvement. But I'd like to give everyone a task tonight, each and every one of you. Tell your friends about the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. Tell them about what we do. Let them know that we're trying to preserve the history of off-road, not just off-road racing, but any type of activity that's done in the dirt with 4 wheels or 2 wheels. Ask them to become a member. And if you haven't done so lately, please take a look at the website. We continue to add more and more history, and this all wouldn't be possible without all of you that come here and support this event and become members and supporters. So give yourselves a big round of applause, because you all deserve it for sure. Well, I'll tell you what, this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for a team of people that work so hard putting this together. So I'd like to thank Jen Hellstrom and her team, and Barbara Rainey. So Jen and Barbara, where are you? Stand up, stand up. Thank you very, very much. Well, hey, let's get this thing started. What do you say? All right, we are going to start off with the first award of the evening. And the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame does a Ormhoff land use donation every year. And what we do is we want to give back as well. So we take a portion of our sponsorship and we give it back to an organization that's helping us keep desert open, trails cleaned, what have you. And this year, we are very, very, very pleased to announce that that donation will go to Clean Desert, and I'd like to ask Adam Philbin to come up and accept this check.
So I'd just like to say what an honor it is to be here among the best of the best in off-road. We're just a small group of friends that want to do something good in the industry for you guys. I really want to thank the Off-Road Hall of Fame, our sponsors, our volunteers, my team and their families for supporting us, for letting us do what we do. Our goal really is to make sure that our deserts stay open for next couple generations. So we're here, and we want to support all you guys and make sure that the off-road family lives forever. So thank you guys very much.
Okay, Bob, I'm going to hand it back over to you. Mark would be proud that I was able to get this done in under 5 minutes. Thank you.
He'd be proud because he can't. Oh, say that. Well, first, let me thank you, Frank, for all that you said. I mean, the board members really do sacrifice an awful lot of their time. And because they tend to be successful people, they don't have a lot of time to sacrifice. Makes it even more valuable to all of us. So our congrats to Adam Philbin and CleanDesert.org. What they do, I read the description on the webpage about who they are and what they are because I wanted to know a little bit about it. And the first sentence kind of caught my attention. He says, we're a couple of white fender guys. And I thought, oh boy, I know exactly what that is. And generally that used to mean you were a bad boy. But look what you're doing. So I have a thought for you all. If you're not already involved in an organization such as this, give it a thought. They have a cleanup coming up in November. And if you've never been to one, I mean, I know it sounds a little crazy, but these cleanups are fun. I mean, they're fun. They feed you. There's people there that are working right alongside you. And you're giving a little of your time. And I'll tell you what, when you get home at night, you feel darn good. So here's a silent auction reminder. Check your bids, check your texts, and we're going to take a 20-minute break for dinner, or dessert in your case, and we should be back in 20 minutes, whatever that is, because I can't read my watch up here. So everybody enjoy your dinner. We're going to come back in 20, and we're going to slay lions and dragons tonight. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been 20 minutes. We're back. We're looking forward to getting down the road. We have a nice long program tonight. It might be a surprise or two. You just never know. But we first want to give a big tip of the hat to the South Point Hotel Casino banquet staff for such a great meal and great service. And a big thank you to Mr. Vaughn, 2015 inductee. Thank you very much. Really does take really good care of us. Well, so now we have our very first of the awards, and this will be the Dick Landfield Helping Hand Award presented by Bo Landfield. The people that win this award, the recipient, really exemplifies Dick's spirit of helping others. You know, everyone here is an off-roader to some flavor or type, and you know, there's times when we've all need a little help along the road. Helping hands help each other. It's actually part of our DNA as off-roaders. It's who we are, frankly. You know, helping hands do a lot of stuff. They hold Scotch-Brite, they grab toe straps, and they clean the trail. They show up early, they stay late. Helping hands really rock. They really do. So this award recognizes people who stand out as volunteers or teammates or club members and friends, because they're all helping hands. So we'd like to welcome to the stage. Are we ready, ladies? Now we're ready. We want to welcome to the stage Bo Landfield. She's the wife of legacy inductee Dick Landfield, and she's accompanied by the helping hand, of course, board member Bonnie Vessels. And it's our pleasure to welcome to the microphone when he gets here, Mr. Carlos Orozco from Baja Pits. He is the recipient, and here he comes now. Accompanying Carlos will be Peter Davis, one of the loyal followers of Baja Pits. and gentlemen, Carlos Orozco.
Well, thank you very much. You know, our team is so proud to be here. You know, there's over 300 of us at Baja Pits. You know, we do so many things that sometimes people don't hear about what we do. Give you an example, the Baja 500. When we found the motorcycle kid of Argentina that died at 1:30 in the afternoon and wasn't picked up until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning the following day. And my people stay with him throughout the day. Things like that we do to help a lot of racers. A lot of people don't know. People think I'm just with Baja Pits. They think that I run the U.S. Wheels in El Cajon, but I'm retired from Ford Motor Credit Company. I spent 30 years with Ford. I knew not only Ding Lanfield, didn't know him that well. I met him and his wife, and it ended many years ago. But they were good friends of Paul Leader. We used to own Alcon Ford. Him and I were good friends. I'm also a Vietnam vet, so I support all the vets from all over. Thank you. There's a lot of vets in our group. Honest to say, there's a lot of Marines in our group that are veterans instead of Army guys like I am. One of them is Pete Davis. He's behind me here. He's the Adjutant General or Master at Camp Pendleton, so he's got more power than the General, I guess. He's been with Baja Pits for 15 years. He's one of my right-hand men. Also, I'd like to recognize so many people that are in my table that I dearly so much. Mary and her husband, Gregory, Marion and George Gregory, they're awesome. They've been with me for almost 20 years. Tim Morton and Jen Morton, they've been supporting us for the last 10, 15 years. I have Isaac and Taylor who run our program out of Vegas. We have teams all over, not only in Baja and San Diego and Vegas, Phoenix, and we put them all together. We just got done with Vegas Reno. We ran 12 pits, worked out pretty good. We're ready for the 400 next week. And then we got 25 pits running for the Baja 1000. And that's, we already worked out. We got plan A, then we got plan B. If that's anything happen, we got plan C. We worked on it for the last 6 months. People have to get on vacation, so a lot of our guys are ready to go. We have a lot of guys in Baja Pits who are doctors, some are lawyers, some are engineers, some are bankers, some are mechanics. A lot of guys own their own business. And it's just a group of guys who volunteer, and we help each other. We love the racers. Oh my God, some of my guys know more about, you know, what a guy does, how many wins he's done. So we're pretty good at that. I want to recognize one of the main sponsors of the last 10 or 12 years, and it's Tina Blanco from Satellite Phone Stores. She has been instrumental in us having satellite phones at every single pit and at every single pre-run pit. Our pre-run pits are run 2 weeks before the race. We're there for 2 weeks. We help a lot of racers. We're there for safety purposes. That's what we're there for. We believe a lot in safety. I also want to recognize Danny Montano. He's in our table. He does a lot of our social media. He's also an ex-racer or a racer. Also from Abetting Motorsports, John and his wife, they're there with us, McMahon. Also like to recognize Bill and Terry Rodriguez that they sell the Torco fuel out of Mexico. They deliver the fuel to our pits because we don't like to transport fuel. So they deliver the fuel to our pits. Also want to recognize some of my pit guys, Pedro Lozano, Arturo Soto, Eric Rodriguez, George Peneruli, Teacher, Silva Tamariz, Manuel Morales, Oscar and his sons, Francisco Valdez, Saul, our team from San Luis Sonora, Roberto Chavez. Roberto Chavez is our liaison guy out of Ensenada. A lot of you guys meet him. He's the first guy that greets you there to drop things off. He will handle all the transportation from Ensenada to La Paz and back. Also Juan Morales, Luis Garcia, Emmanuel Davis of the Constitution. We have our team. We have 7 teams set up in Baja Sur, helping us for the last 8 years. So we already have equipment down south that we don't have to transport from the north down there. It's already down there ready for the racers. Also, Roberto Garza out of La Paz, Dave Watkins, Steve Steinberg, and God, I'm forgetting somebody. I'm sorry. Oh, God, my God. I got to thank my wife, my sons, for letting me go out into the races. Especially my wife, you know. She's put out with me so much. I was always gone with Ford Motor Company, going back to Dearborn, Michigan, back to California, back to Dearborn, you know. And so once I retired when I was 55, that was many, many moons ago, you know, she said, "You're staying home?" I said, "No, I'm going to go help my sons run the shop at U.S. Wheels." Folks, I want to thank you very much. It means an awful lot for the guys at Baja Pits. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You know, they're out there at 4 in the morning when you're the last car and they're still waiting for you. That's what Helping Hands do. That's what Baja Pits does. Let's hear it again, because they saved our butts. Lots. Well, it's time to get on to the inductions. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of roll call. Where are the people that represent Jeff Cummings? Where's the Cummings crew out here? There they are. I knew they were here somewhere. What about the Scott Douglas group? There's a lot more of you here. Who are you? What about Evan? Yeah. That's what I thought. I knew they were here. I saw them earlier. I saw that happen. Oh. Who's here talking about Sugar Fields? There we go. You know what? Legacy inductees don't get forgotten, as you can well see. This is very good. Next we have Scott Hardin. Where's your group, Scott? Oh, I don't know. I think that's a pretty loud group. Now, I don't want to get a thing started side to side, because that could go on all night, and we could have a damn good time doing it, too. Well, then there's Miss Mary McGee, 84 years old. Mary, you're down in here somewhere. Where are you? There she is. No? Well, if you can see the stage, find it later, would you? Okay, good. You know him, right? He only brought like 3 people, right, Tom? Where's your group? Mr. Morris, where's your group? Golly, the whole port side of the damn boat. Look at that. That's pretty good. And Fud, you would think that even though he's passed away, he might have any friends. How many friends does Fud have in the room? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And then, of course, there is our best friend, Mr. Russ Wernimont. Yeah. So I guess we can start, because everyone's here. Whoa. You know, the mission of the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame is to educate and to inspire the present and future generations of the off-road community, and by celebrating those who came before. It revolves. We have 9 new inductees tonight, and actually very little of them spent very much time looking back. They're all looking forward, probably forward to their next off-road adventure. Each of them has really impacted the world of off-road motorsports in their own way. It's unique, but it's very noteworthy what they've done. And their contributions are all over the place. It could be numbers, it could be technologies, it could be inventions, it could be simply personal performance, as you'll see tonight. But they have some common traits. The common traits would be that they influenced others actually to go off-road with them, starting their own journeys. Another would be that they brought change, or they led others to higher standards. They could do it by amassing maybe a winning record, or even working in advocacy for change, or expanding the visibility of off-road motorsports. All of these people have made their considerable contributions to our off-road world. Well, these 9 new inductees bring the total population of the Hall of Fame to 128 Hall of Famers. And so here's how it's going to work. And many of you may have been here before, but it's a very simple process. First, there is a video. The video is what introduces the inductee to you. I might add, kind of eyeball these videos. Even though you know somebody or you know a lot about them, you may not know some of the stuff you're going to see on the videos tonight. So it's kind of special. So while they're showing the video, our inductee will be brought up to the side of the stage. When it's over, they'll come up. They're going to stand right over here and get their picture taken. And then they come to the microphone and they share their story with you. So that's how it's going to work. Should we do one? Get ready. This inductee went from a volunteer to a crew member to a 43-year career as an educator, as a coach, and as a leader. Now, he says that as a youth, he was well known to the Marquette County Sheriffs. He also says they got the wrong guy. I heard him say one time, just recently, he says, I didn't come from the deep end of the gene pool. That's what he said. And he also said that he had an all-access pass to cool people and cool stuff. Well, what we say, tonight, Jeff Cummings is a Hall of Famer.
About just how far you can go on a little bit of sleep and what your attention span is like. Baja 1000 is not a place for quitters, it's not a place for wimps. You know, there's a lot of people that'll walk around and ask, are you ready? Tuesday's when we find out. That's the test. You get your passing grade or your failing grade on Wednesday evening.
Jeff Cummings once told me, bigger tire, smaller desert. Turns out he was right.
Jeff Cummings, BF Goodrich. He's the mastermind behind the maps of the course, how to get from A to B, and timing. Pit guy's got to be at checkpoint 2 at 3 o'clock, leave at 2 o'clock. Madman, Mr. Baja.
Baja is certainly a challenge, and without a doubt, at the end of the day, I told all the new guys is that I will assure you it'll be one of the greatest adventures that you've ever had a chance to be a part of.
I was hoping you were going to tell me that you have mastered the art of looking where you're going and avoiding the obstacles rather than charging blindly into shit that'll take you out.
You guys are never going to finish the race driving like this. Holy crap. We've got 4 bikes. You hit 1 already. Izzy, get it together. You're supposed to be calling those things in. It's going to be a long day.
Make me proud. Sure they will. So easy a caveman can do it.
We're just going to top off with a little fuel here. We're really right on schedule. Actually stopped and had a bite to eat because Jeff was in a good mood, let everybody eat.
Hey, Jeff. Wanted to wish you a big congratulations, and all deserving. Can't thank you and everyone at BF Goodrich enough that you've introduced me to everything at Baja and Mexico and everything that I've seen and witnessed that I would never have believed that the BFG brand products can do on pavement and off-road. And all the stories, all the memories, good times, sore times, and bad times at Baja. Enjoy retirement, enjoy everything you've accomplished, and thanks for the friendship.
speaker there, man.
We've been hard on your tires.
It will definitely be a test of both man and machine, as the 1,000 always is. You stop paying attention on this year's race course, and good likelihood that's where your race will end. If you're going to be the baddest man in the ring, you're going to go down and you're going to take on the Baja 1000 and show what you got.
Taught me all about Baja, Jeff. Thank you.
Nobody lives and breathes tires, especially BF Goodrich tires, like Jeff Cummings. And by breathes, I mean like, yeah. Congratulations, Jeff. Very well deserved.
Hey, Jeff. Brett Favre here. Look, I know what it takes to get into the Hall of Fame, so congratulations on being inducted. Awesome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee, Jeff Cummings. Jeff is accompanied by Frank D'Angelo, 2013 inductee.
Yeehaw! I'm a tire guy. I don't do what most all of you do, set amazing records, fighting for keeping our lands open, building incredible machines. I have been such a fan of what you do since I stumbled into off-road. As Bob said, I have had a front row seat in an all-access pass. I ended up quite by accident in the tire business and got to chase rally cars around, and then got into short course in the Midwest and going to Pikes Peak until some jackass decided to pave it and ruin it for all of us. Who gets to ride around the desert with the likes of Casey Folks and Sal Fish looking for trails? I've truly been blessed. But Dirty Tires, Happy Tires has really been one of my driving foundations, because pushing stuff with flat tires through the dirt is really an awful lot of work. And I'm pretty proud of kicking people around corporate, and trust me, I am probably the least likely candidate to have a 40-plus year career in a corporate enterprise. It's not like, trust me, I wasn't carrying any student debt when they hired me. Didn't have to worry about that. I was able to sit there and watch Marketing Wizards, and I go, well, you know, I really don't have a marketing degree to go along with it, but I know what I like to go have fun with. And you need to have tires that hold up and tires that have good traction. And fortunately enough, early on, I had one of the patriarchs of off-road racing sit down on a trailer and say, you know, I don't need your sponsorship. What I need you to do is build the best, toughest tires you can, and I need you to support the people involved in this sport to help this sport grow and flourish. And if you do those things, you and your company will be successful. And I'm not noted for being a great listener, but that man's a 2006 inductee, and I was fortunately paying attention that day. And I wasn't the only person in the company that got that advice. And whatever successes I've been able to have with off-road motorsports and the folks that have preceded me with the BFG brand, I think he gave that advice to us, and we've reaped the benefits as a result of it. I was in the right place at the right time.
I've had a couple of people say, you know, big tires are really tough on the desert. I can take a little blame for that because I got a big lecture one day from Mike Smith grinding me about that Land Shark will go so much faster if I just had a bigger tire. And we had a new guy, his first off-road race, but a fairly influential guy, and I went to lunch with him that day, and I said, man, what would it take to finally get a bigger tire? And he goes, I'd like to go for a ride in a trophy truck. I'd like to go for a ride in a helicopter. 20 minutes later, I cornered Tim Herbst, and Tim said, bring him over. And we were no longer saddled by 37-inch tires in the desert, and we went on to bigger and better things. I'm fortunate enough to have my mother here with me tonight, my girlfriend Vivian, my brothers, and several other friends that I've got to play with tires and play in the desert, and so happy you took the time to come out here tonight. Don't ever stop playing in the dirt. Thank you so very much for this questionable award, because I look at this list and I am completely at awe that I'm on it. Thank you so much.
Good job. The film and Jeff only talked about the race car stuff and the dirty, tires and things like that. I'm going to take an extra second to tell you a little about another side of Jeff. I was fortunate enough to spend nearly 2 decades, 20 years, on the road with this guy. And the task we had on the road was we were trainers. We did seminars. We had 3 rooms in one hotel, and we'd switch around and go like this, and we did our own setups. We were our own roadies. And you could do a 50-city tour with anybody where you live together, you eat together, you work together, you fight together. You find out who they are. And I'll tell you what, Jeff Cummings is a good man. If they ever have a chance for me to choose upsides, I'm choosing him again. I chose him once, I choose him every single time. I'm serious. Next, now listen. Here's how it goes. Your dad gives you a great work ethic. You take the work ethic and your brother along with you, and you're not afraid of work. So you work a lot, and so you earn a good wage. Well, so there you are, just short of 20 years old. You and your brother pool your funds. You buy a Class 8 off a used car lot, paint it red, prep it, enter it in the 1980 Baja 500, and you take 5th place. Now, does that sound like a couple of brothers having a crazy adventure? I ask you. It does. So here's how that crazy adventure seems to have turned out. We have 95 career victories. We have 8 desert championships. We have a 2-time Borg-Warner Cup champ. We have an inaugural Anzal Cup winner. And we have a 3-time Baja 1000 winner. Tonight, Scott Douglas is a Hall of Famer.
Scott Douglas began his love for the desert while growing up in the back of a Jeep in the early 1970s. At an early age, he learned the love and excitement of off-roading and the importance of taking care of the roads and trails of the Bureau of Land Management. Scott began his off-road racing career on motorcycles at the Riverside International Raceway in the mid-1970s. Scott and his family began to spectate in numerous off-road races. His passion accelerated from 2 wheels to 4 in 1980 when he and his brother Steve bought a used Class 8 race truck, and they entered the infamous Baja 500. They finished an amazing 5th in class. The Douglas brothers then hired Ted Kendall to build a new F-150 Class 8 truck. Mickey Thompson invited them to race in the first MTEG race in Pomona. Scott qualified second with Ted Nugent in the passenger seat. Scott had his first truck win in the factory-contested 7S class at the Fireworks 250 in Barstow. This kicked off a slew of wins and championships in the 7S class. Highlights include 2 Baja 1000s, 2 SCORE HDRA championships, 2 Mini Medal championships, and becoming the SCORE Riverside World Champion.
Congratulations on being inducted into the Off-Road Hall of Fame. You're proof that integrity, dedication, and hard work do pay off. I saw you race many times, but I didn't have a full appreciation for how good you really were until I had a chance to work with you. Your ability to push the vehicle to the limit, give feedback to the team on to make improvements for the next round are second to none. Thank you for allowing me to be a small part of your career. I'm glad to see you getting the recognition you genuinely deserve.
In 1990, Douglas was hired by Walker Evans Racing to drive a Jeep Cherokee and officially became a professional driver. The team dominated, including the Class 6 Championship, Mini Medal, and Short Course Desert Challenge. Evans then moved Douglas to a Class 7 Dakota, where he competed against the likes of Roger Mears and Parnelli Jones. He won the championship and competed in select MTEG Series events in Grand National Truck class. Douglas then moved to Herzog Racing in a Ford Ranger built by Ted Kendall, again winning the class. That same year at the San Felipe 250, he took first overall in the Ford Ranger. Scott is the first and only driver to win an overall in a Class 7.
I want to congratulate my buddy Scott Douglas into the Off-Road Hall of Fame. You know, he's just a genuine guy, always smiling, always ready to tell the story. Very well deserved, and congratulations.
In 1994, Douglas challenged himself by driving for two teams, Herzog in the SODA Short Course Series, and a Desert Trophy truck for Evans. He finished second in points in his first short course year, losing by 1 point to his Desert boss, Walker. During the mid-90s, Douglas drove for Rampage Racing and won the Class 4 SODA Championship. After that, he became the owner and driver of Douglas Motorsports. Douglas hired Russ Wernimont to design a new truck, and Scott won the Class 4 Championship as well as his first Borg-Warner Cup. He opened a fab shop that designed, built, and produced lift kits for Rancho Suspension. His company designed an axle spacer for lifted trucks and later received a patent. Scott also did R&D and engineering work for Yamaha and Club Car, designing lift kits and prototyping vehicles. Ford hired Scott to race an Explorer, and he ruled 3100 class, becoming the 2004 champion. Scott raced both Pro 2 and Pro 4, winning his second Borg-Warner Cup in 2006, and was the first driver to podium 5 times in one weekend. A few years later, he won the 2010 inaugural AMSOIL Cup.
Scott, I want to let you know how deserving I feel you are of this award. You have been a mentor and a friend, and you have helped me in my career through being my spotter in short course, through offering advice and how to navigate the world of professional racing, and also opening your shop over the summers to myself and my boys. So I want to say, congratulations, you deserve this.
Scott was honored to promote the enthusiasm of off-road racing internationally when he was invited to a 14-day Middle East Off-Road Champions Tour for Armed Forces Entertainment in 2011. His group built and set up Remote Control Traxxas off-road tracks each night and organized team races with the troops and officers at 14 different undisclosed locations throughout Iraq and Afghanistan. Scott quickly learned that what the soldiers really wanted was someone from back home to talk to. So he spent many nights listening to stories of their families. Scott stated, "This trip was and always will be the highlight of my career."
Congratulations, Scott, for being inducted into the Off-Road Hall of Fame. I've always admired your passion and talent for off-road racing. Thanks for trusting me to be your co-pilot in the Desert Series and your spotter in the Short Course Series. All of us here at Howe Performance are so proud of you and what you have achieved. Thanks for letting us go along for the ride.
Over the years, Scott has always given back to the racing community by helping others, which resulted in successes for many new drivers. As the years went on, Scott continued to race Pro 4 successfully. He competed in all 3 Red Bull Frozen Rush events in Maine and leased trucks to Bryce Menzies, Brian Deegan, and Ricky Johnson for the event. He leased trucks to Brendan Gong, and RJ Anderson got his Pro 4 start by driving one of Douglas's trucks. In 2019, Scott raced his last race at Crandon, posting fastest lap.
Congratulations to you, Scott Douglas. I can't think of anyone more deserving to be inducted into the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. You've been a tremendous partner for AMSOIL for more than 17 years, helping us test our products in your trucks and acting as an ambassador on our behalf. Your professionalism, commitment to the sport, and numerous championships have made you an off-road legend. I am so happy for you to receive this honor. Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
AMSOIL maintains support for Douglas as a brand ambassador while he continues to do various events and trade shows. He still enjoys jeeping, coaching, and mentoring drivers. Scott's 98-year-old mother is still his #1 fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome to our stage the 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee, Scott Douglas. Accompanying Scott is 2022 inductee, Brad Lovell.
Thank you guys all very much. This is really an honor. But I want to start by thanking all the people who helped me throughout my entire career. Family, friends, volunteers, team owners, and sponsors like AMSOIL to put that amazing video together. My journey is about a shy, hardworking kid. Grew up in the back of a Jeep, full of pride, honor, and the desire never to let anyone down. Starting with my parents, my father taught us, work hard, stay focused, you will be successful. So when my brother and I, Steve, were going to race the 1980 Baja 500, we were all in. We finished. That was our first taste of success. Steve has always been a believer in me, starting with my motorcycle days throughout my entire career. Without him, I can honestly say I would not be here. He pushed me beyond my comfort level, especially in the early years. Thank you, Steve. The not wanting to disappoint part kicked off at an early late age, starting with childhood, working in construction, my racing career, and my current family. Frankly, it's the people in my life that have pushed me farther than I ever could imagine. When teams like Walker Evans and Herzog Racing hire you, you do not want to disappoint. Co-riders like Jeff Howe, who knows every rock from here to La Paz, and others kept me focused and confident mile after mile. Crew chiefs are another piece of the puzzle. In my early years, I had to earn the confidence of Ted Kendall, but when I did, it was a huge confidence boost. Ted's a believer in me, and he was at my very last race. Short course crew chiefs are another piece. Don Prim and Bill Smith would coach the team and I how and what it takes to win. Thinking outside the box, Bill took us to another level with his detailed leadership. I found myself driving more precise than ever. One of my greatest honors in my career was to visit the troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was proud to have some fun representing off-road and off-road racing, but I quickly learned what the troops wanted more was a good listener, once again, shaping who I am. So fortunately, about the time my racing career was winding down, which was my entire life, Mary, my high school sweetheart, showed back up in my life. Now my wife, Mary, her 3 daughters, and 8 grandkids call me Pops, and I love every minute of it. I love you guys. Today, I'm still happy to say I'm in the off-road industry. I look back at my racing career and realize just how lucky I am to have family and friends that shared this journey. In my opinion, life's about making memories and the people along the way. So thank you all very much. Special thanks to Ormoff, Mary, and everyone who wrote letters of support. Rusty, Dave Mason, Steve Olagus, and Jimmy Johnson. And congratulations to all the other inductees tonight. And wow, what a great honor. Thank you. Thank you, buddy.
So Pop. It works. He's got an ear. He knows. What an awesome career a guy's had. He had no idea where he was going when he got to start, and look where he's ended up. And if nothing else, that should maybe be a message to somebody in this room who says, gee, I wish I could. I don't know. I don't think it's probably impossible. But it isn't, is it? Look at that. So, let's talk to our third inductee. Now listen, I want to put this thing kind of in a, in a box a little bit. Because here, we have a man who's an inventor. Had to invent stuff to make his race car work. He's a race driver. He's a builder. He's an engineer. He's a 14-time champion. That's no easy feat for anybody, much less someone who has to do it all sitting down. Fact is, now understand his early race machines were not necessarily things of beauty. They were kind of rough, but that's okay because all you saw was the taillights. He was fast. That's exactly how it worked. So a great racer, a great man. Tonight, Evan Evans is a Hall of Famer.
My earliest memories of off-road racing, my dad had come home from work on his truck, put a second set of shocks on it, and then he would take a 3/4 inch piece of plywood, put over the bed, put some sleeping bags on it, put a camper shell on that, and when us kids would get to go pre-run, that was our spot.
Kept saying, Dad, I want to race too. So I got him a small Honda 150 and put him on the motorcycle, but I had to hold the bike up because his feet were too short to even reach the ground.
And he'd let me go, and I went and won the first race, and everybody else disqualified me and said that we cheated.
That was the start of Evan's racing career.
After driving the Datsun, I got an opportunity to drive for my dad, which was my dream come true. That's what I've been working for. That was all I'd ever wanted, is to be involved with the top team, Walker Evans.
Then he came to work for me. We started putting a Jeep Cherokee together. He worked on it every day at my shop, and he started racing it. It was fast, it was good. Evan was right on with it and started winning races. He took me for a ride even in it, and I was a little concerned about it. I said, better slow this thing down, Evan.
After winning 4 out of 5 races, I broke my back in a non-racing motorcycle accident. It was tragedy. It was the worst thing that could have happened to my career.
Then one evening I got the telephone call that Evan was in the hospital with a broken back.
It's breaking the news to me that I'd paralyzed myself. And the first words out of my mouth to him were, but we can still put hand controls in it, and I keep racing, right?
Still got to race. I want to race. I'll get out of here and we'll race. I said, I know you will, Evan, I know you will.
At that point, I don't think my dad really wanted to hear it. He's seeing his son laying in the hospital, paralyzed, hurt, and that was the last thing he wanted to hear. But that was the only thing on my mind, is get back in that race car. I went through rehab as quick as I could. 2 days after I was signed out of the rehab facility, I was in the driving seat of my truck in the Baja 1000.
When he got out of it, he was out front with the car, and Brian got in it and kept it out front and went all the way to La Paz and won the race.
But as soon as I stumbled on great hand controls, I went short course racing, and the skies lit up for me. Everything started happening, and Chevrolet came along on board, and that's when my career blew up.
I had no idea that he had the confidence, the desire. He possessed way more than me. Look where he's at. He builds his own cars, hand controls, goes out there and wins races. A paraplegic bouncing through that kind of stuff, phenomenal.
Also, congratulations on being the winningest driver in truck racing history in SOTA.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, this Chevy American racing truck, it's really performed well for me.
How hard you made me work to try and race with you and against you. I still think you probably beat me more than I beat you, but it was a heck of a time.
We're both driving Chevy Thunder trucks, kind of in reverse paint schemes. The bond he and his team had, the commitment they had, his mantra of never giving up and just how inspiring that was.
Chevrolet came to me and offered me a chance to race up Pikes Peak.
And this is Evan Evans, paralyzed from the waist down in a non-racing motorcycle accident, running the Duramax diesel. Now he would set a record for a diesel truck. He would finish in a time of 13 minutes, 34.63 seconds. He would also be named 2000 Rookie of the Year in high performance showroom stock.
What was great about short course racing, and especially at Grandin, is I was racing there too. He'd be on the track and so would I.
Throttle trying to go after it, loops it, and Evan Evans does it. 2 on the row. Is this gentleman, Evan Evans, going to win his 4th in a row? If he does, he'll be the first Pro 2 driver to ever do that, and he does!
And it's amazing that you were able to do it twice, basically work your way up. I really admire that. I've always admired how hard you work. And once again, congratulations.
Congratulations to you, and see you very soon, friend.
Great racing against you, and once again, congratulations. Hall of Fame, baby. You deserve it.
To know that my son, Evan Evans, how good you've run in short course and how much you've enjoyed it, and we and all your sponsors have watched you do it. What a thrill.
And you're the winningest professional driver here at Park River now with a total of 7, but from what I understand, you've also broke the track record that a Pro 4 previously held, my man. Congratulations, you hold the new track record here.
I tell you what, that's a thrill, but what's even more thrilling on top of that is today's my anniversary. 14 years ago today, I broke my back. And if you work hard, never give up, and have dreams and never give up, you can accomplish anything. I'm so proud to be here.
Please welcome to the stage the 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee, Evan Evans. Accompanying Evan is his 2004 inductee father, Walker, and Spencer McKenzie, CEO of Green Grease.
Nice to be here. Thank you. Well, I was down here eating dinner with my wife, and my wife's poking on me saying, hey, you make sure that you're up there and gracious and humble. Shit, that's going to be hard after seeing how cool I am. Well, what do you guys think of this handicap podium? It's really nice. Troy Johnson from Fab School built this for us and donated it to us. So this will always be here at the Off-Road Hall of Fame, thanks to Troy. Thank you, Troy. Also, at this point, I need to thank Jeff Rennick. He and I have something in common. He's in a wheelchair also. He become a fan of mine. We become close friends, and he bothered the Off-Road Hall of Fame for a few years to get me in here. So, Jeff, thank you for that. Now, this gentleman, Spencer McKenzie, I met him 34 years ago. My boss, Walter Boss, opened the door. A news reporter got out of my car, said, Evan, this guy's going to ride with you. His name's Spencer McKenzie. I said, well, get in. We hooked him all up. I told him all these gauges need to be pointed straight up. I have the gauges timed that way. If they fall anyway, you let me know the car's not running right. Otherwise, sit there and have a great time. We went on to win the race, and we've been fast friends ever since. I helped him get his, thank you. I helped him get his grease business started. He and I, one day after my race, we sat there for a couple of hours talking. He asked, well, what should it look like? You know, I said, well, I love yellow, of course. Yellow's good for me. So he went with yellow, and his grease is green. I said, well, we got to have green on the package, too. So after talking for a few hours, He says, Evan, you know what? Thank you for helping me get this started. Your number's number 5. I'm giving you 5% of this company. Spencer, thank you for always loving me and taking care of me. Thank you. Now, we certainly have to thank Michael Gahn and this beautiful hotel that he provides for us. And the Gahn family has always been special to the Evanses. We go hand in hand together. We have great time. Brendan, tell your dad thank you for doing all this. Now I got to thank my parents, of course, for my dad installing my never give up attitude and teaching me if you want something bad enough and you work hard for it, you can accomplish anything. And for also giving me a winning vehicle for the first time in my Jeep. I had a great time racing it until I got hurt, and then I had a great time at the end of the year climbing back in it to finish what I started. So thank you, especially for Phyllis. She talked my dad into putting the hand controls in it, so thank you, Phyllis. Now my crew, I got to talk about my crew a little bit. My crew's very special to me. My crew is all volunteers. I've only had one employee on my payroll, and that's really all I could afford is one employee. But my crew, they're all volunteers. They worked really hard for me throughout my whole career. I can't thank them enough. They have been so special to me. They've always gotten the job done, always know what I needed, and I can't thank them enough. Thank you, crew. Now that brings me to the GM Mobility and Chevrolet, of course. It was so nice to finally get their attention because I was racing on my last dollars. They came on board, which was really nice because it gave me a chance to give back a little bit. So some of the tracks, Crandon and Bark River, they didn't have very good handicap seating areas. So once I landed GM and Chevrolet, I went to them and asked them if they could please help me get handicap seating area at those tracks. They were more than happy to help with that. The first race I went to, I just got done racing. I went out to watch my dad race at Crandon. They thundered down the valley off the first straightaway, got to the first corner, and everybody stood up in front of me, and all I got to see is the guy's T-shirt in front of me. Luckily, it was a Walker Evans T-shirt, and my dad won that race, so it wasn't that bad. But thank you, GM Mobility, for helping me put those handicap areas up and giving back to the sport that I love so much. Well, Potawatomi really was nice because it was an Indian tribe, and they were at all the races. I felt the love. I felt the support from them, the local support from them. So thank you, Potawatomi. I'm very proud to say that I started my races on BF Goodrich tires, and I finished my career on BF tires. So thank you for that too, BF. All right, this brings me to my wife, which she's not just my wife. She was my spotter as well. She kept me safe on the track, kept me out of trouble. I can remember one time Scotty Taylor flipping me going into the first corner at Bark River, and I'm in the middle of flipping and crashing, and I hear on the radio, "You got 4 tires, everything's good, keep going." And I'm thinking to myself, well, let me finish crashing. So we ended up finished crashing, and she's telling me, everything's good, go. So she was more than my spotter. She was my pep rally. She kept me going, kept me charged up, kept me calm. One time at Anago, I was leading the race, and I was on fire. Long sweeping corner, all the axle grease would go out to this outside wheel, and it must have had a cut in it, and it'd catch on fire right at the end of this long sweeping corner. And there's an official right there watching, and I could see him about wanting to pull the flag, but he'd let me go by, 'cause as soon as I get on the straightaway, the flames would go out. Well, about 3 laps into it, now the white flag's out, I hear my wife on the radio saying, "It's not going out this time, you're on fire big, but it's behind you. As long as you keep going, you're okay." Keep going to the finish line, And don't stop until you find somebody with a fire extinguisher. That was just her mentality. She kept me calm, kept me safe in the car. I love you for that, honey. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees, past and present. Thank you guys for that, and good job getting inducted. God bless you, Evan. Thank you, thank you. All right, now I'm going to finish this with a little story about my dad. Sorry, Dad. 6-year-old Evan got left in San Felipe. You heard at the beginning of the movie that my dad would come home from work. He'd put a second set of shocks on. He'd put a thick piece of plywood on the bed. He'd put the ice chest and all of our luggage underneath that, and then a camper shell on top of that, and put some sleeping bags. Well, he'd put a couple bungee cords and slide us kids in there, and we'd bounce all the way down Baja, giggling and laughing, having a great time. Well, during those pre-runs, 6-year-old Evan got real used to hearing every creak and rattle. You'd put that truck in gear, and you could hear the driveline clunk, the yokes clunking. And sure enough, we got to San Felipe, and I told my sisters after eating lunch, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Okay. Well, my parents come get back in the car, and I'm in the bathroom doing my business. And all of a sudden, I hear this familiar vehicle start up. I think I know that vehicle. And then sure enough, he puts it in drive. I hear that driveline clunking. Hell yeah, I know that vehicle. Up comes the pants, out the door I go, and I see my youngest sister's eyes this big looking out the back window. I see my oldest sister pounding on the front window trying to get my dad's attention, and I'm chasing them down the road. I got little Evan mud tears running down my face chasing after him. I swear I see my dad looking in the mirror watching me. I'm thinking, okay, he's testing my never give up that he's installing me. I kept running. Finally, he pulls over. And my reward, they wiped the mud tears off Evan's face. They hug me, tell me they love me. And my reward, I got to ride up front with my parents for a little while. And I get to making faces at my sisters in the back. I get to ride up front. Well, that didn't last. I didn't make it out of San Felipe, and I found myself in the back because I think they figured out real quick I didn't have time to wipe my britches. Thank you guys for coming. You guys have a great evening.
Evan Evans, ladies and gentlemen. What a remarkable career. And a remarkable man. Congratulations, my friend. I'm really pleased for you. Let's change gears. Grab a gear. Let's do some impact awards. By the way, you still have time to check on your bids. If you're in on it, go ahead and pick up your phones. I haven't heard too many of them tonight, so if you're not on silent, that's good. Check your bids. We have now our Ormhoff Impact Awards. These are presented by Yokohama Tire. And this award was created to recognize people in the sport of off-road who truly made an impact over the last couple of years. And you know, it's a hard thing to do because there's so many good people, great people in our sport. It's hard to narrow down the list. The Impact Awards are on track to becoming inductees, maybe one day. We want to honor and recognize those up-and-comers, you know, the ones that are new. But we also want to recognize the people who have heritage in this sport when they have impact. These honorees, they actually come from all over. You know, in a lot of ways, I kind of look at our off-road world, this is bizarre Bob, but I look at it as like a big wheel. And you know, at the center of a wheel is the hub, and that's where everything rotates around the hub. Off the hub are spokes. Those are the different flavors of off-road that we have. We have racers, we have trail riders, we have trail rally guys, we have motorcycle. You understand? All these spokes are legitimate flavors of off-roading. And the rim itself holds it together. That's what Ormhoff is. In Ormhoff, there's a place for everybody in off-road. That's how it's formed. So these impact awards are new people that we may see in a few years. So I'm going to read the honorees in each category, and then I'm going to reveal the Voters' Choice winner. So I have an envelope they've given me, and this is still a secret thing. So okay, there's my deserts. Here's my Group A. Adventure. The impact honorees are Dan Badigan, Adventure Taco, Nick and Matilda on the Next Meridian Expedition, and Gary and Monica Westcott and the Turtle Expedition. Those are our 3 honorees. The Voters' Choice winner is Gary and Monica Westcott, Turtle Expedition. Come on up. Well, you know, while they're making their way up, I know they're here. There they are. Is Gary asleep still? Listen, Gary is the one that started this thing. He left South Lake Tahoe in 1972. He has been married to Monica for 46 years. Most of those were on his travels. They've been doing this kind of traveling since 1972. And the reason? Gary followed the instructions almost of John Steinbeck in his book Travels with Charlie. He says, don't take a trip, let the trip take you. And it's taken them all over our planet. That's good. Yeah.
Everyone that voted for us. I know I'm going to have to take more than 1 minute. As Bob said, we had this thing when I left South Lake Tahoe in my 1967 Land Rover, the Turtle 1, headed for South America. I was laser pointed, South America. I figured I spoke Spanish, I lived in Mexico, I'd be in Guatemala in 2 months, but I wasn't taking the trip was taking me. 9 years later, I was still driving around Mexico, doing stories for Off-Road magazine. That's when I met my dear wife, Monica, who's been a partner now traveling for 46 years. And we have gone around the world twice, around South America, and we're packing the truck up right now and heading for South America again. And of all the people I need to thank, and never, you know, I could mention a dozen sponsors like Warren Winch and B.F. Goodrich and Ford Motor Corporation and a dozen others that really made our trips possible. But I want to thank the people out there that read our stories for 50 years. Those were the people we inspired, and they inspired us to continue traveling. And I hope you still do that. And I will leave you with our wishes to follow us in South America. And I'll make this as short as I can, but I remember we don't know what's going to happen down there. But we're not taking the trip is taking us. The essence of adventure is not knowing how it's going to come out. Thank you. Monica. Thank you.
Next category is the desert category. Yeah. So the impact honorees are Christopher Polvordy. Yeah. Eric Hardin. Oh, no noise for Eric. That's not good. And Seth Quintero. A lot of noise. Let's see what happens. Seth Quintero. Yeah. Seth is not with us tonight. He's got another commitment. I took a note, though, in the 2000 Dakar Rally, 2022, excuse me, he set a new record for the most stage wins in a single running of the event. Get this. This is Dakar. 12 stage victories out of 13 total. That's Seth. 2023 with 2 stage wins and top 10 5-stage finishes. Who writes this stuff? It's like, that's backwards. Steph still managed a podium finish despite losing a wheel and running out of fuel during one of the stages. So let's hear it for Seth. He's an up-and-comer. We're going to hear his name a lot over the next 10 or 15 years. Thank you for your patience while I flip all my pages. The next category is industry. The impact honorees are Dave Cole, Homer Eubanks, there you go, and Jim Ryan. Dave Cole. Well, Dave's not here tonight. I tell you, there's movers and shakers in our industry, and Dave is one of them. He's a co-founder, if you don't know who he is, of the very popular King of the Hammers events and the Ultra 4 Racing Series. So, and he's got a lot planned for 2024. So let's stay tuned. Dave Cole is a busy, busy guy, and he's busy making fun for us. How's that? We like it. Okay. Well, we have our first legacy inductee to talk about tonight. Get this. 50 years ago, she talked her club, she actually convinced her club, this is the IOK four-wheelers, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky four-wheelers. Under her leadership, they decided to buy a box of rocks. It was a gravel pit that the railroad owned and didn't want anymore, and the IOK four-wheelers have been using it for their events. So they bought that box of rocks. And it turned into one of the longest-running off-road motorsport events in the United States of America, Gravel-Rama. That's what she did. And I tell you, that's not all she did. She did a lot. She was involved with SEMA, and I'm not going to get into it. We got people that are going to take care of that. But Helen Sugar Fields did a lot more. And let's watch her video and introduce her because she is now a Hall of Famer.
Today I have Hindu Henderson, and we're at Gravel Pit for Gravel-Rama 52. And Hindu just wanted to share his thoughts about Mom.
I remember Sugar, we all joined about the same time in the early 60s. We trail rided. She always had a ball trail riding. And then when we evolved into Gravel-Rama, she was the driving force of mostly what we did. Anytime, she was always ahead of everybody thinking. Her going into this Hall of Fame is a great honor for her, but also for the club. And I'm just tickled to death that this is happening to a person like her.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of introducing you to Helen Sugar Fields. I am Dell Albright, a 2014 Ormhoff inductee. Now, her birth certificate may read Helen, but she was Sugar to everyone who knew her. Allow me to take you back to the 60s. The popularity of four-wheel drive exploration and the idea of creating a club were in their formative years. Sugar was at the forefront. She and her husband Ken would routinely load up the Jeep for weekend outings with friends. From this came the formation of the Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky four-wheelers, known as IOK, and the desire to find out who had the best Jeep and driver. What started as weekend grudge racing spawned a competitive event that has lasted more than 50 years. Gravel-Rama, as it's called, became the most fiercely competitive off-road race event east of the Mississippi River. Recognizing that this event needed a permanent home, Sugar took it upon herself to contact a railroad company that was some land to sell, and she set up purchasing what is now the IOK grounds for Gravel-Rama. and she convinced several folks to sign the mortgage. Sugar then convinced her longtime friend, Jerry Swartz, to create the first program for Gravel-Rama. He was instantly hooked for life. Sugar then designed the large permanent trophy. She created a registration and class tree system to manage the event. But her real love was to handle the announcing duties at the races. She had the voice. That brings us to the 70s. Now we're predating fax machines, emails, cell phones, and texts. Many other regional clubs wanted to expand their voices and manage their race programs. Thus, East Coast Four-Wheel Drive Association was formed. Sugar began using her talents to grow and bind the organization. In the world, there are leaders, followers, and doers. Sugar was the doer of everything she touched. She was infectious, motivating, and downright awesome.
Well, let's welcome to the stage, please, a mentor to so many, 2018 inductee Jim Bramham, and he's going to speak for Helen. Jim's accompanied by Ormhoff board member Rich Klein, who will stand for the photo.
My name is Jim Bramham. I'm a humble inductee into this ever-expanding group of just downright awesome people. And I want to do tonight what Sugar would have done had she been here, and that is to thank the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame for their support of land use advocacy organizations throughout the country. You did this with awards and dollars. These groups, like the ones tonight's recipient, Clean Deserts, do outstanding work to promote safety, stewardship, and responsible off-road recreation. Just last month, those dollars helped secure the victory in yet another chapter of the Oceano Dunes saga in California. Advocacy does not have a leaderboard or a victory lane. It is tireless people in the trenches battling to keep your public lands open. We win together, and you are all part of that team. We thank you again. Sugar, and that was who she was. There was no Helen involved in this. It was Sugar from the day of birth. Lived her entire life in and around the tiny community of Cleves, Ohio, outside Cincinnati. Now, the total amount of public land that's available for OHV use east of the Mississippi River is probably less than the wedge of Nevada that lies south of this hotel. But Sugar wanted to save all the lands there and out here, and she did everything she could to make that happen. She wrote letters by the thousands, but even further, she persuaded thousands of others to write the same letters. She wanted our voice heard at the highest levels. She met with officials, gathered together like-minded people, and sought to help anywhere she could. SEMA sought her counsel when they started the SEMA Action Network. And I know many of you in this room have received SEMA Action Network emails over the years, but she was the one that started the idea that, we can reach out and we can bring to the world the current issues and threats. She helped create the North American Motorized Recreation Council and bring the regional OHV organizations together. That coalition is now 30 years old and meets annually as a guest of SEMA. She is a mentor of advocacy to so many of us. She created fire in the belly of everyday people with a passion for our sport. Dell and I, among many of you, are working to pass her doer enthusiasm on to the next generation. The IOK and East Coast four-wheel drive continue to be a force of good for the sport across the eastern United States. Gravel-Rama is now 50 years old. From a group of rambunctious club members to the cover of Peterson's four-wheel drive, they created an event that brought competition, innovation, and preparation together for the win. It is a testament to what can happen when a vision is coupled to hard work. When Bob Chandler built the first Bigfoot, weird-looking vehicle, you saw a picture of it in the slideshow, it was Sugar that introduced this to the world at Gravel-Rama. That product was improved and improved over time and copied repeatedly. What started out as a novelty launched an entire new genre of motorsports. We are joined tonight by Sugar's daughter, Kim, who wants to thank Ormhoff for this induction. She specifically wants to thank every person who had helped to make this possible for her mother. Kim, along with her family, friends and folks from the East Coast Four-Wheel Drive Association, NAMRAC, and many OHV groups from around the country are here tonight. And all of them want to thank Ormhoff for reaching back into time to gather in one of the true legends of motorsports. A longtime friend, Jerry Schwartz, from the East Coast Four-Wheel Drive Association said, "The Hall of Fame is not complete without Sugar." And we just fixed that. I want to leave you with something I found at the bottom of a set of minutes that Sugar typed in 1972. That's what, 40 years ago? Maybe the reason it is so easy to close land to four-wheel drive enthusiasts is because we don't take our fun seriously enough.
My goodness, she had such an impact on our sport, and we didn't know it. You know, it's like it happens. I remember I was working for B.F. Goodrich in those early days in the early '70s, and they were just becoming aware of this thing called Gravel-Rama. You know what Jeff said about they didn't understand about what his Baja Bug was doing outside headquarters. Well, they were the same people that didn't really know, and Gravel-Rama is one of the things that taught the BFG people, upper management, the value of getting involved. Look how that turned out. Woof. Well, Helen Sugarfields, thank you so much. Yeah, let's do it. Come on. I mean, yeah. There's no restrictions on that. You can be boisterous. It's advocated you can do that. Well, here's another inductee. So, it's 1967. 1967, you're 15 years old. You've been invited to the hunting camp. You get to go hunting. Whatever happens in a hunting camp, he was there. But he spied. Oh, be damned. He saw a tote goat. A tote goat, in case you don't know, was one of the early little mini bikes. It was a hardtail, had a Briggs & Stratton motor, about 6 horsepower, and he said, could I ride it? And they said, well, sure. Well, I'll tell you what, that ride started a 50-year, 5-decade career of achievements that have impacted people all over the world. So many over the world. Tonight, Scott Hardin is a Hall of Famer.
If you ask Scott Hardin to sum up his career, he will simply say, I am the luckiest man in the world. And why not? He's enjoyed a truly remarkable career as a world-class racer, industry leader, and pioneer in the sport. From 1971 until his final professional race in 2007, Hardin's racing career is distinguished by the diverse off-road disciplines he mastered, with 16 overall victories in the world's toughest races, including multiple Baja 1000, Baja 500, Parker 400, Las Vegas 400, and Mexicali 300 overalls, score and Best in the Desert Series championships, and over 150 regional and local wins. Hardin's resume speaks for itself. On the world stage, he's a three-time ISDE medalist, U.S. World Trophy team member, and rally pioneer, becoming the first American to win a North African rally, the 2,500-mile Djerba Rally in Tunisia in 1987. As he approached 50, he took on perhaps his biggest challenge as team manager and lead rider for the U.S. Red Bull KTM Dakar effort. In 2005, he fulfilled a lifelong dream of seeing Lac Rose, the famous pink lake, at the finish of Dakar, coming home 17th overall out of 250 riders. The longer the race, the tougher the challenge, the more grit, determination, and pure racing savvy required, the more Hardin excelled. As a corporate executive, his impact on power sports is equally impressive. As VP of Marketing and Race Team Manager, he helped KTM, Husqvarna, and Zero Motorcycles become global brands, from launching groundbreaking models like the 300cc two-stroke motorcycle to creating the highly popular Supercross intermission program, the KTM Junior Supercross Challenge, and as a pioneer in electric motorcycles. His fingerprints are still evident today. Finally, as Business Development Director for Best in the Desert, Hardin helped lead the organization through a particularly challenging period following the passing of its legendary founder, Casey Folks. Today, Hardin manages Hardin Off-Road, a power sports consulting, event promotion, and rider training program. This includes the Nevada 200 trail ride, now in its 40th year, and handstands at 100 miles an hour, an event he co-founded with Baja legend Johnny Campbell, promoting the past, present, and future of desert motorcycle racing. If you ask Scott what he's most proud of, he will tell you without hesitation it's his family, starting with his beautiful wife, Christy Hardin. Christy has been at Scott's side from the very start, chasing him around the world, helping him pursue his dreams. The Hardin family also includes sons Brent and Brock Hardin, both highly accomplished racers on their own. Brett's wife, Brittany, Brock's fiancée, Megan, and of course, the next generation of Hardin racers, grandsons Jensen and Leighton. Champion off-road racer, corporate executive, advocate, pioneer, Scott Hardin has traveled an amazing road. The Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame proudly welcomes him, along with the other members of the class of 2023 being honored tonight.
Please welcome to the stage 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee Scott Hardin, and he's accompanied by inductee Johnny Campbell. There we go.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? I want to start by congratulating all the other award winners tonight, the other inductees, everyone that's in this room for being who you are and for the contribution you made to our sport. I see so many familiar faces. It's just humbling to be here amongst this group. I would especially want to acknowledge the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame for the tremendous job they do commemorating our sport. People don't realize just how quickly this can all pass and not even matter in the future, and the work that they're doing is hugely important. I grew up on a small farm just 5 miles from here. In 1971, I turned 15 years old. That year, I watched J.N. Roberts cross the finish line at the Barstow to Vegas Hare and Hound, the biggest race of that era, 20 minutes in front of the second-place bike, and was just in awe. That same year, I went over to the gun club and watched all the stars of the day compete at the Mint 400. What a huge inspiration. And then On Any Sunday came out, and my life was over. I knew where I was headed, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do what Malcolm did in that movie. Thank you, Malcolm. Tonight is about the people who helped me get here, so I need to thank a few people. I'll start with my mother, Eunice LeBrecq, and my grandparents, Cliff and Dorothy Smith. They knew absolutely nothing about motorcycle racing except it was dangerous hell and I was probably going to kill myself. Yet they supported me unconditionally. My grandmother, at 66 years old, drove my support vehicle at the 1975 Baja 1000 with my partner, Andy Kirker, over here. Driving all those roads down there just because she was there for me. I can't thank them enough. Next, I want to recognize two men who influenced my life tremendously. When I was 15 years old, a guy named Casey Folks moved in down the street from me. My life changed that day. He took me under his wing. He provided advice, support, counsel, and more often than not, a quick kick in the ass for straightening up and doing the right thing. Casey's passion for life, for this sport, was unparalleled. And I grew up in that garage when I was 16 years old. And forever grateful for that opportunity, how life brought me together with that man. I miss him every day. Casey Folks. The other person is Rod Bush. I joined KTM Sport Motorcycles in 1988. He was president, I was vice president. And for the next 20 years, we changed the motorcycle industry. We took KTM through bankruptcy and obscurity into being a powerhouse in the sport. And I'm very proud to say I did it alongside Rod. Rod taught me early on that hard work, relationships, and a little applied common sense go a lot farther than diplomas, money, job titles, anything else. Rod Bush changed my life just like Casey did, and I want to thank Rod Bush, who's no longer with us, but certainly impacted my life. Rod Bush, thank you. Off-road motorcycle racing is a team sport, and I've been blessed to have many, 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 many great teammates over the years. Too many to mention, but I'm going to mention two. The first one is my Husqvarna factory teammate for 5 years, Brent Wallingsford. For a 5-year period, we achieved all of our dreams. We won the Baja 1000 overall. We won the Baja 500 overall. We won the Parker 400 overall. I'm sorry for all you car guys. We beat all you guys. Back then it was possible. But Brent Wallingsford achieved our dreams along with his wife, Penny, who, again, is no longer with us. I couldn't have asked for better people to go through life with and experience this great sport with. The second person is the guy that helped me win my first class win in Baja, but was also my toughest competitor, Jack Johnson. Jack and I were Vegas boys. We battled each other tooth and nail for year after year after year. If he was my Mount Everest, he was the guy I had to beat to get the accolades that I wanted. And that was a tough, tough challenge to take on, trust me. The standard I measured, he was the standard I measured myself by. And no matter what standard he set as a racer, he set an even higher standard as a human being. His integrity, his morals, his character are second to none, and I wished he was here tonight. Best brother-in-law a guy could ask for. Like the video said, I'm the luckiest man in the world, but the reason I'm the luckiest man in the world is for the woman I'm going through life with. My wife, Christy Hardin, who's here with me tonight. If you know her, then you know how true those words are when I say I am the luckiest man in the world. For 49 years, she's been at my side. She's helped me achieve all my dreams. She's helped me raise a beautiful family, including my sons, Brent and Brock Hardin, and our two grandsons who you saw in the video, Jensen and Layton. Thank you, honey. I love you. I wouldn't be here without you tonight. This award is for both of us. Thank you. Finally, to the rest of my friends and family here tonight, I want to say thank you for being here. The people sitting at this table, these two tables over here, and the other friends sprinkled around the room right there, I want to say thank you. At the end of the day, this sport is about the relationships and the people we meet and the impact that they have on our lives. And it means more than money. It means more than fame. It means more than anything. It's what we've done in life together that really matters. I was blessed to come into this sport at the beginning of its real popularity and to be inspired by the best of the best. And many of you are in the room here tonight, and all I can say is thank you.
He impacted a lot of people, a lot of people. How are you all doing? I mean, you know, you've been sitting on those two cheeks of yours for quite some time, and they tend to get a little numb. So if you need to stand up and, you know, shake it the right way, all right, you can. Well, I am not going to demonstrate the right way, Phyllis, for Pete's sakes. That's somebody else's job. Now, this is a long night, and I hope you guys are hanging in there. It looks to me like you are, but we don't want to waste your time. So let's introduce the next inductee. What do you say? Move this pool along. Now, our next inductee is Mary McGee. Now, Mary McGee is all about firsts. And here's how she describes herself. I'll read this so I don't botch it up. I'm fast on my feet, fast with my brain, self-conscious and lacking confidence, but no trouble with confidence on the racetrack. Well, we're going to hear a little bit about Mary McGee from Mary McGee. So here's her list of firsts, and I got to read these because they're easy to mess up. Her very first motorcycle was a 1956 Triumph Tiger Cub. That's a 200cc little bike, 12 cubic inches. She's the first woman to race in a U.S. FIM-sanctioned motorcycle race in the United States. That was 1960. Where were you in 1960? Well, she's the first woman to finish the Baja 1000. That was in 1968. The first woman to race motocross in the U.S. The first woman to compete with Europeans in international motocross in the U.S. The only woman to ride the Baja 500 solo. That was in 1975. Yeah. And in 2014, she was inducted into the Trailblazers Hall of Fame, and in 2018, the AMA Hall of Fame. Now, she has an opinion, and you're going to hear it. All right, but one of them is she says, we all get one life, says Mary. But if you're not living it if you're not having fun. Well, I tell you, I like that. That makes plenty of good sense to me. So please welcome to the stage our 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee, Mary McGee. She's accompanied by... Here we go.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing
have really been the luckiest woman in the world to race so many great machines. I really, truly believe this. I started racing in 1957. Many of your parents haven't been born yet. I was never the best, I was never the fastest, but by golly, I was there. I started racing in '57 sports cars with SCCA. And I was racing for Waszak Polak Porsche in Spiders. He had been a pre-World War II road racing champion in Czechoslovakia. He and my husband were down at a corner. I was racing one of his Spiders, and he said to my husband, Mary, in Czecho, ja to Mary, she should take up road racing motorcycles, make even smoother in the car. They came to me with this great idea in the pits. I said, no way, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. My husband said, I can get you a motorcycle. He worked for Honda Motor Company. So I said, well, okay. Being the first to road race, I had to call head of AFM, American Federation of Motorcyclists. It was to ask if I could race. And he said, it was Wes Cooley Sr., and he said, let me call some of the guys, I'll call you back. A couple hours later, he called me, and he said, well, we've decided you can come for a tryout at Willow Springs. I had to try out to race. A guy could get his leathers on, a helmet, go through tech inspection, and then race that day. So I had to get leathers, went up to, I had to go to Ventura, to the leather makers. He measured me. First I went to Webco. I know a lot of you know Webco from years ago. They were too embarrassed to measure me. So they sent me up to the leather maker in Ventura. So off I went. He measured me, of course, no deal. The leathers were ready in 4 days. Drove back up there, picked up the leathers, because the tryout was that Sunday at Willow Springs. So I had never seen the bike before. It was a CB92 Honda. And I got on the bike and just started going around, bunch of guys out there, going around and around. Wes Cooley Sr. came down the pit area and said, and I said, is there going to be like a race or something I do? He said, no, you've been out there with those guys. They say you're good. You can race the next race. So I did enjoy road racing. They were all very nice guys. And then my friend from sports car racing days, Steve McQueen, said to me, Mary McGee, you have got to get off that pansy road racing bike and come out to the desert. I, of course, said, ew, and get dirty. But Steve's buddies, they made sure I got out to the desert. My husband got a bike, another Honda, 250 CL72. Not the best desert bike in the world, but it was a bike, and I got to get on it. So they took me trail riding in the Tehachapis. You've been there. And it was great fun, but mostly I got tired. I was worn out from riding a motorcycle finally. So Bobby Harris, one of Steve's friends, called me up and said, McGee, you're going to be on a team and we're going to race up at Jawbone Canyon. I said, what? I can't. I haven't been riding long enough. He said, oh, yes, she has. You're going to be good. It was an enduro. I was on a 4-person team, and when we started out, it went up and up and up and up the Tehachapi's, across the peak, and all of a sudden, the riders disappeared. I stopped and looked. They're way the heck down there. I stopped. Believe me, I stopped. Here comes, right beside me, Dave Eakins. And Dave stopped and he said, "Mary, did we forget to teach you how to go downhill?" He said, "Put it in 3rd gear and just go." Unfortunately, I did that. Now, I did fall 2 or 3 times, but it's sand. Sand is soft, doesn't hurt much. And it was a long way down, trust me. So get into the pits, and I thought to myself, oh good, I won't have to go out in the next half. Wrong. And it went this way across the Tehachapi's into the snow. And there, riding along in the snow, come to this big boulder, and standing in front of it, behind his bike, was Bobby Harris, who had called me and said, I could do this. And he said, oh good, you're here. I'll tow you in. I said, no, there'll be no towing. I had known nothing about that. He said, well, I'll tow you. No, no towing. And he said, okay, well, let me get, he was waiting for me because in this Honda, you know, that was built in, that round toolbox, it was a round metal cage, I guess, and it was stuffed with tools. He didn't have any tools with him, so he knew I had those tools. So I said, you've got to fix your bike, there's no towing. And by golly, he did, and we got down to the Jawbone Canyon Cafe. And what did they say when I got in? This was the toughest race of the year. After telling me it's the easiest, and you've been there. I did race the desert for several years on this Honda Scrambler. Remember this one good thing. Out of that miserable Honda Scrambler, everybody in Southern California that was into mechanics on motorcycles improved that bike. Not only rake and trail, but how the motor was mounted. And it just changed everything. I didn't get any of this. But remember this, what came out of that was the Honda Elsinore, one of the best bikes made. So I did serve a purpose, I guess. I started motocross racing at the very first motocross race at Castaic Junction, the first week of 1965. 42 of us showed up at that race. Junction has been dropped, but it's still Castaic. 42 of us at that very first motocross. The second one, more people showed up at Forest Ranch. And the third one, Edison Dye, who was the Husqvarna importer, had Torsten Hallman come over. Oh my God, what a difference watching Torsten Hallman than all these desert racers on a motocross track. And don't forget, we had to go, like the Europeans, 45 minutes and 2 laps. The only way I got through any of this was because I'd been a desert racer. I got some muscles. I was always tall and skinny. And from that came more motocross, more tracks. They just sprung up everywhere in California, thank goodness. And then Edison Dye and Torsten Hallman started the Inter-Am series in '67. And I did the whole series. It started at Saddleback, went to Denver, went to San Francisco, down to Santa Cruz, where I met Brad Lackey, and then back down to LA and Saddleback. It was great fun, other than a guy ran into me. I broke a chain, and I went at Saddleback, and the course went way up here like this, plenty of room. The guy behind me just wasn't watching or paying attention. He didn't go up there. He ran into my arm and broke my arm. He apologized to me on Facebook about 5 years ago. Good, thank you. This is my nephew, Chris. What? Oh, it's time? Okay. Sorry. They put the hook out, I'm sorry. I do like to talk, unfortunately. But I'm very, very happy to be a member of this Hall of Fame. I'm a very lucky woman. And I want to tell you, get out and ride.
McGee, everybody. Wow. I told you we'd hear some stories tonight, and I hope you were snapshotting that stuff because we just experienced about 5 or 6 minutes of serious history. So, thank you, Mary McGee. My goodness. Well, check your bids. We still have a few more moments that I'm told we check your bids and get online or how you do that. And we have more impact awards here. So, more envelopes. Group B. In the Group B, this is the motorcycle ATV category. The impact honorees are Preston Campbell. Yeah. All right. Not the winner. You know, calm yourself. It's gonna be all right. Jim O'Neill. Okay, Jim. And Skylar Howe. Skylar Howe's not here. Okay. Let's find out. Oh, it's Skylar Howe's. He is our Voter's Choice guy. I wrote some stuff down because we have it here. This is 2022. He's a first overall at the Silver State 300. First overall at the Vegas to Reno. First overall at Rally du Maroc in the World Rally. First overall in the Sonora Rally. And third overall podium in the Dakar Rally. Does he know how to ride? I ask you that. So congratulations, Skylar Howes. The next category is rock sports. That used to be little, and now it's huge. So good on you. So the impact honorees are Raul Gomez, Tyler Harper, and Dave Wong. All are honorees. The Voters' Choice winner is Raul Gomez. While he's coming up, let me tell you, Raul is a native Californian. He's the first racer to Ironman back-to-back at KOH in the Race of Kings. Back-to-back. He's
received Scores Milestone Award for completing every mile in the Trophy Truck Series. Ladies and gentlemen, Raul Jimenez.
Wow. Thank you, guys. I am truly honored and humbled to be in front of everybody here. Just listening to all these people that are getting honored in the Off-Road Hall of Fame. It's amazing. It's great. This is, I'm just shocked. I just want to talk real quick. 2012, I just got promoted in our family business to be the controller of the company. My brothers were like, hey, we're going to go off-road racing. I'm like, we don't have any money for that. Not gonna happen, guys. Like, come on, let's go buy a little car. We'll go and do some Ultra 4 racing. I'm like, I don't think so, guys. We don't have the budget for that. My brother Mark goes to JP, flew down here to Vegas, picked up Les Figueroa's Ultra 4 car, and next thing you know, we had started a race team. And they said, hey, we need a budget. I'm like, we don't have any money for that. We have a budget for it. So next thing you know, they go racing the whole year, and then all of a sudden they said, hey, bro, we got to go and check out this race called King of the Hammers, and we have a car for you. I'm like, all right, I'll go and check it out. And then next thing you know, I'm in some Ultra 4 four-wheel machine. I've never even raced before in my life. And next thing you know, I'm leading the brothers in the race. We had 3 cars out there, and I'm leading the brothers. And I was like, okay, I like this. This is interesting. This is cool. We didn't finish the race that year, and then I was like, okay. Let's take it serious. And next thing you know, we're really competitive a few years after the fact, and we go and I win last year. And I'm like, all right, I really like this. This is good. And I win again. And I'm like, okay, this is not a joke anymore. We're racing seriously. I get a text from Cameron Steele. He's like, Kingy, congrats again. I'm like, okay, there we go. So we just went for it. We were nothing. We were just barely starting out on just learning how to off-road race, and we're over here buying trophy trucks and Ultra 4 cars and just going for it. It was something that brought our family together. I just want to say thank you to everybody that makes this happen out there. This is truly an honor to be here today. I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors that take care of us, especially my family, my beautiful girlfriend, Danielle, supports me through all this. My crew chief, Chris, is here with us, and Ultra 4 Racing is definitely there. Being the king again is definitely truly an honor. I'm just ready to go a three-peat and just beat everybody again. This is our hobby. We don't even do this for a living, and and we definitely just enjoy it. It's fun. It brings our family together, and I'm ready to go be a three-peat again next year and show these guys that go get paid by all these big sponsors, do all this crazy stuff, and all it takes is anybody out there that can go and do it and really truly care about a sport or a passion and be passionate about it. It's how we are, and we take racing as just fun and take it to the fullest. And I want to thank everybody here, and thanks again. It's been truly an honor. Thank you.
Somebody needs to get Raul to, bump up the enthusiasm just a bit. I love that. Okay. Last category is short course. The impact honorees for short course are Gray Ledbetter, up and comer there, boy. Corey Winter, yep, and Kyle Cheney. Let's find out. Oh, yeah. It is Corey Winter. Yeah. You know, he continues his winning ways from 2022. He's got, well, now, I'm not sure this number's right. He's going to have to correct me. Corey, your job is to get this data straight, all right? Right now, I got 7 Pro 2 podiums in 22 and 3 wins so far in 23. However, Crandon just happened. And I think he scored at Crandon. So he'll tell us exactly how good he is. Okay?
gonna say when you get up here. Thank you to the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame for recognizing everybody in their respective categories. It's really cool to have this kind of not newer generation, but younger people coming up and making an impact in their categories, and being around this room full of people. Man, I idolize so many people in this room, and that's thanks to my family, man. I grew up being around in desert racing. My dad raced 7 truck back in the day, so man, my whole life's been around this community, so it's really awesome to be up here. So thank you to them. And like Bob said, man, this year's been amazing for us so far. I'm going to correct you. We had 10 out of the last 12 races we've been on the podium. Crandon just ended, like he said. We won Saturday, won Sunday, both fast laps each day. So, man, that was to get that done, man. It's an amazing feeling. So I can't do it alone. Everybody that has helped me, my race program, man, we're just starting. So everybody along the way, thank you so much. Thank you to my crew. Funny story, real quick. Man, this leading at Crandon halfway, I'm checking my gauges and stuff, right? I look up, and who do I see outside of outside of the pace truck with a cell phone hanging halfway out? Rob McEachran. I'm like, that was better than the whole race. I'm like, that dude just videotaping me, giving me a thumbs up. I'm like, that's so awesome. So, like I said, thank you to everybody. It's really great to be here. And hopefully we can get her done. We got one more weekend to go, and Champ Off-Road, we're leading points, so hopefully we can get it done. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Corey. Good job. Our next inductee. The next inductee. What's going on? Are we talking about Tommy Morris? Is that what all this noise over here is about? Well, I can't hear you. Yeah. Yeah, you can do better than that. For Pete's sakes, you think you guys are pros? Huh. Okay, listen. He grew up with 2 older brothers who were car guys. He also grew up with a father who was in aerospace, an engineer. Thing is, his mom thought he was special, which is true. Both of them. His mom said that, and he is special. But with so many great minds to question, what do you suppose he thought about as a young boy? Well, I tell you, there must be something about the family riding mower. Other inductees have mentioned this in the past as well. In this case, Tom got a hold of his dad's mower. It went from a 3-mile-an-hour mower to a 13-mile-an-hour mower successfully. And so from that early start, followed by a long trail of broken stuff, he has become a master of racecraft, and that's true, but he's also a Hall of Famer.
Tom has always been one of those guys that could fix anything. You'd go in the shop and you'd have a complete transmission completely disassembled, or a rear end, and the shocks are completely disassembled. And he can put them back, remember how they go back together, and that'll typically always be better. I think that so many times that he always had his head down in his business. I mean, he was always focused on what he was doing, so he wasn't one of those real talkative guys that you'd take off and spend a lot of time talking to, because he seemed to always be busy.
Tommy has a disarming personality, and he is very intense. He is very passionate in the heat of battle, but throughout it, he maintains also a sense of humor. And he would always be being there, a little, ball busting, if you will. And again, that kind of character, that effect in challenging situations can actually be quite helpful, because it reminds everybody that, hey, let's not get too full of ourselves. We're out here racing, we're having a good time. And so that, again, always stuck with me.
Tommy Morris is the Vince Lombardi of off-road racing. He took this PPI team of Cal Wells and Ivan Stewart and made them into the team that everybody had to show up and beat in order to get a spot on the podium.
The biggest thing that I would remember was that undying commitment to ensure that whatever we were working on, we could get across the finish line first. Tom drove one truck, Ivan drove the other. Then Tom split it with Frank Arciero for a while. And it became obvious that we, as a company, PPI didn't have the resources, the financial resources, the people to compete with two trucks. And Tom gave up his seat so we could focus on Ivan. And I remember a time we went out to the Mint, and Tom had come up with this little check valve that we hadn't run before, and we were literally, the race was going to start whether we were ready or not the day before. And Tommy's all over the thing. I mean, he's through every orifice of the truck, and we're trying to figure out what the hell to do. And Ivan finally came in and said, I think we've got it. To be honest, I didn't believe it. Now, I'm not sure Tommy did either, because he was just worn out. So the next day, I couldn't get off the ground. The wind was crazy, and I would fly in the air. And I remember when we finally got up, I was calling, because we were way back. The Class 2 cars had started in front of us because they had a better average time. And I remember when I got up, I talked to Tom, and I said, where the hell are we? And because I figured, well, by now we're probably broken again. And he said, well, we're 7th across the road. Well, we're still running anyway, so where are the Class 2 cars? No, we're 7th. Overall. I was like, what? Meaning 7th car in a row. I couldn't believe it. That was a defining, the amount of work that Tom put into getting that truck going. You can tell I'm still emotional about it. We won that race by 45 minutes. We found our groove, and that was it. I mean, the rest was history. We went down to the Baja 500 and won that, and then just kept going and going and going.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great privilege to invite to the stage the 2023 Off-Road Motorsports inductee, Tom Morris, and he's accompanied by 2020 inductee, Cal Wells.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Looking out here at the vastness of you folks, then having to follow all these people with Evan Evans and all of that stuff, Mary McGee, getting to sit next to her doing the photos. It's like, how do you dream this stuff up? And the opportunity that all of you have allowed me by giving me a piece of yourselves that allowed us to do what we did. From fans, spectators, enthusiasts, your kids, your parents, whatever took you to the event, the cast of characters out here that come from my high school friends that work days and nights on the truck to allow us that opportunity. Steve Kelly. Hey, you want to go drive a truck? I'll pay for it. What a great thing. Grabs another guy, Jim Hart. Who would think? Build another truck, get to win more races. Meet Cal Wells, work with Ivan, the Iron Man Stewart. Who gets that opportunity? He busted his ass. We give him a trash can lid and he'd go win races with it. And it's just fantastic. Just the whole cast of characters. But every one of them all gave a piece of themselves. And by giving them a piece of themselves to allow me to get to do what I get to do, you can't ask for anything more. Whether it's your high school buddies, military guys you got to meet, and they helped you and you helped them. But at the end of the day, it's all about you. The Hall of Fame, fantastic. Join it, be a member, help fight for this land advocacy. I'm a 2-time life member of Corva. Join something, keep our lands open. Enough of that speech. I can't wait to hear Russ, Fud, Chris Blaze. These guys in wheelchairs, they kick ass. Give them a cheer when you can. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be involved with any and all of you.
Let's do our second legacy inductee, huh? What do you think? Yeah. Now, this is the toughest name I've had to read all night. The Lee part I get. I think it's Fud Sieck. I think that's his real name. We know him as Fud. And that's, yeah. You know, if you didn't know it was an off-road thing, somebody says, hey, we're out with Fud. That doesn't sound right. I don't care it doesn't sound right. But the thing is, what Fud was, is he was grassroots racing personified. It was family racing for families, for everybody. His Superstition Championship Series was like a nursery for champions. It was a training ground for excellence. He ran it all by himself for 24 years. And, well, that's exactly right. And, you know, if you knew Fud, well, he was also widely known as the best flag waver in off-road racing, huh? The guy got more altitude than Southwest Airlines, I'll tell you. So from this day forward, Lee Fud Sieck will be known as a Hall of Famer.
Gordon, before we go back to the action, what does it take to prepare for the 24 hours of Le Fud?
Well, if you let your wallet do the talking, that's the best way. You go down to the shop and you pick up an extra bike, you pick up wheels and tires, tubes, almost anything you get your hands on. And the best way to do it is on a return policy. If you don't use it, you return it.
Lee Otis Sieck, born August 3, 1944 in Bruce, Wisconsin. Graduated from the University of Wichita with a degree in aerospace computer design and worked on the space shuttle program. Fud Pucker! Fud was the dynamic and driving force behind some of the most enjoyable grassroots events the sport of desert racing has ever known. He gave up a six-figure income to go racing. Fud started as a desert motorcycle racer. In 1979, he took over District 38 Desert Motorcycle Race Organization in Ocotillo, California. In 1983, he added buggies, trucks, and ATCs, starting the Superstition Championship Series. He also organized races at the Imperial Fairgrounds in Tecate, Mexico. He was the first to run a 24-hour motorcycle desert race, 24 Hours of La Fud. Fud became president of District 38 and the San Diego Sports Committee. He earned the Amigos de Baja Award presented to him by the governor of Baja. In 2004, he was recognized by Walt Lott with the Vic Van Ella Award for significant contributions to the sport of off-road. Even his course maps were unique. Many off-road racing stars either got their start or honed their skills at Fud Pucker's races. Otis Fud Pucker Sieck passed away from a heart attack October 23, 2003. His racing legacy in the Ocotillo Desert continues to this day.
It's 7 o'clock. Sunday morning, the Budweiser 24 hours of Le Fud is over with. Happy campers now.
Exactly. They just that checkered flag is what they're looking for all the last 24 hours.
Daybreak, oh, I tell you, when that first light appears on the horizon, there's nothing like it.
So please welcome, if you will, to the stage a good friend of Fud's, Bob Basile, and to the stage to accept for Fud. And I believe we have Scott McMillan along with. He's carrying Fud's picture. And Josh Hall, Ormhoff board member.
I have to tell you, as I am, Fud would be deeply honored and amazed at the talent that he's been inducted with here tonight. It's a pretty awesome group of people. On behalf of Lee Otis Sieck, Fud Pucker, excuse me, I'm honored to accept this induction, and on his behalf would like to thank everyone that had a hand in honoring him tonight. Fud was one of a kind. I think everybody will admit that. He was always to his own tune. And I was fortunate to have worked with him his last couple of years. And I have to say, I've been in the motorsports business for over 60 years. And I've worked with some of the greatest people and organizers in the world. None of them have ever been more dedicated, devoted, and enthusiastic about racing than Fud was. He'd shake hands with every participant in the beginning, and he'd checkered flag every single one of them, no matter how late they came in at night. He'd be there to make sure they got their checkered flag. Something about his nickname, which I never knew about till tonight, and his good friend Brian Sasta let me know, how he got his nickname Fud Pucker, was they were sitting at Fud Rucker's restaurant out in La Mesa, and Fud didn't like his name Otis and Sieck, so they were working on a nickname, and he said, what about Fud Pucker? I don't like Fud Rucker, but how about Fud Pucker? And that was him. Otis Fud Pucker. He was the greatest promoter of an off-road racing for grassroots that has ever come along, and like the video said, his legacy continues to this day in the Ocotillo Desert. We have Randy Ingen here doing some of his work with District 38, and a lot of the other people are also doing it. So I just want to thank everyone on his behalf, and here's to Fud.
Well, you're 19 years old. You're going to take a 250 mile trip away from your place in Ohio, somewhere around Toledo, in hopes of finding a job doing what you want to do, which is build and design off-road stuff. So you get yourself to the coast and you try and have a job. Sounds easy? But holy moly, what a builder and what a designer this guy turned out to be. It's like innovation was his middle name. He built some of the earliest tube chassis cars. This is like 30 years ago. He's an absolute wizard for shocks. And he does things today that people still do not understand. That's a good race guy, especially if they do it. He's always been a wizard and a guy I admire. So please, let's welcome to the stage, excuse me, not yet, tonight, Russ Wernimont is a Hall of Famer.
A lot of people don't know my dad's background. I mean, everybody has their own story, but he lived in Toledo, Ohio, grew up there, born and raised. Small family, didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And on his 19th birthday, just seeing ads in a magazine, saw Cal Wells's PPI shop and was like, I want to work there.
Cal and I get this letter from a guy back in Toledo, Ohio, has his summer off, wants to come work for a week or 10 days for free. You know, he sweeps the floors, does cleanup, helps with this, helps with that, and just all around good guy, no problems. And his time was up and we're getting ready to say goodbye, and he goes, well, would you guys consider hiring me? And Cal and I kind of look at each other and go, sure. And so little did we know the monster that we were going to create.
He didn't say stand in the corner and just do your little job. He's like, hey, can you do this? We need somebody to... I ended up, for the first Toyotas, I actually sculpted the front half of the body because they said, can you do that? And I said, sure. And it was neat to have somebody trust you and say, go for it, be creative. And that's what I came for.
Russ Wernimont was one of the leading builders who took us from Class 8, which were relatively stock vehicles with stock frame rails, to full-on race vehicles with tube chassis, leading us into the modern era of off-road racing we have today.
Where he really cut his teeth was Scott Taylor and the dominance in short course racing in the East Coast. And literally he'd go out and help build the truck with Scott and come up with different ideas and thoughts, and a lot of them would get outlawed because Scott would keep winning. So it's like, all right, well, it can't be a center seat car anymore because that's why he's winning. No, Scott just drives well. They built a good truck. They had some good ideas, and they kick people's butts.
Taylor, he is way out in front. Nobody's going to catch him. He's not going to make a mistake. Way too much experience there.
Right up to the very end when I retired, Russ was 100%, always all on. Sleeping is not an option if the race car's not ready to go. I mean, he was just a dedicated guy, and still is. He's now working with his son with Kawasaki in the desert, and he's going to put his son at the top, just like he did me.
Russ had built this Pro 4 for me, and he never built a Pro 4. And anyway, we took it out to the first couple races, and it was real fast. Went up to him. I says, well, what do you think? What's the deal? And what do you think about it? And he goes, yeah, I see it, and yeah, there's a problem. And I says, well, what can we do? What can we change? Tell us, you know. And he says, you guys can't do anything. He says, I got to cut it up. And I go, cut it up? Cut what up? He says, the truck. And put it in the semi, put it in the wind to California from Crandon here, drove straight through. He worked and did a few adjustments on where the A-arms were, where the pivots were, and a few other things, and brought it back a week later directly to a race and went out and won. It just, and then from there on out, we were dominant with that truck, and we ended up winning the championship. But we were able to pull it off with one of Russ's chassis, and that was his first four-wheel drive he ever built.
When he would be designing, for example, the Class 8 Venable truck, he would cut out 100-pound stock, cardstock, into the shapes of whatever suspension thing he was working on, and a map tack. He put the map tack in there where he figured the pivot point ought to be, and he, for a few minutes, move it. Oh yeah. Those small things, I don't know if he taught the industry or showed the industry, you know, you can do it if you can think it. And that was Russ Wernimont, and he thought a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage the 2023 Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee, Russ Wernimont, and he's accompanied by 2022 inductee, Scott Taylor.
journey for a 19-year-old kid from Toledo, Ohio to end up here, but it's been fun. Got to meet a lot of nice people. Did some pretty cool things. I was lucky enough to work for Cal Wells and Tom Morris right off the bat, and only had a couple arguments with Tommy along the way, but people that know him think that's pretty normal, so we're all good there. And you know, it's really cool when you work for a team like that, the people you get to meet. Two of the people I met right away were Bob Bauer and Frank D'Angelo. And every car I've built in 40 years has had Goodrich tires on it, and they're simply the best. And not just tires, but the people. You know, they have so many great volunteers that come out to the races, and a lot of the teams I ran, Venable Racing, we relied on Goodrich pits. I only brought enough guys to barely get that car around. Without Goodrich, we couldn't have done all the good stuff that we did. So, you know, we won a lot of races. I had a lot of great drivers. Venable Racing, we had Robbie Gordon. And then when he moved on, I got to do the fun job of interviewing drivers. And Rob Mack sat in that seat for about 5 minutes. And before he was done, I was convinced he was the guy. So really cool to see Rob Mack and all the stuff he's done. Got to move into short course and do a lot of things back east that were fun. Scott Douglas, we saw that I helped him a little bit, and Scott Taylor, and I don't know if a lot of you people get to know Scott Taylor, but he's one of the coolest guys I've ever worked with, and the guy's family. Him and Kelly are great. I spent summers back there, flew back and forth a lot. My kids spent the summer with Scott Taylor once in a while. It was pretty cool. So after moving on from Scotty there, we did some pretty cool desert stuff with Simon & Simon and Ultra Wheels. And one of the favorite trucks I built was Simon's, and it was 32 years ago. And this year we had a really cool opportunity. My son drove that car at the Nora 1000. And Carson's only 26, did a really good job. And thank you to Pedro and all his guys down there that work on the car and really provided me one of the coolest race weeks I've ever had. A lot of fun. The Nora race was a blast. And, can't forget my wife. Carmen is awesome, supports us in everything we do. And, you know, being a Hall of Famer doesn't mean that we're old people and done. I still might have a couple ideas, and my son Carson and working with Kawasaki, we're gonna have a good time, and someday people will know who Carson is if you don't know him already. So thank you to everybody for coming, and it's been a great trip, 40 years. I enjoyed everything, and Bob was always there. If I accidentally got to drive a car, Bob rode with me because I didn't pre-run and I had no idea where I was going, but we logged a few miles and he always kept me out of trouble. So awesome job, Bob, and I've enjoyed knowing you for 40 years. It's been great.
Goodness gracious. You know, one of the things Russ is talking about, yeah, we had some late nights and tough races because Robbie had to bail for one reason or another. I can't remember which race it was, but it was late, and we'd come through Tracer Manos, and it was that sticky, stinky, yucky black mud. You guys ever been in that? It's nasty stuff. He got it all over the truck, too. Yep. We got done, we got finished, and he was pretty tuckered out, and I was a little bit myself, but I knew where we were. We found Ensenada, and that was a good deal. I had in my driver's suit the biggest doggone Snickers bar you ever saw. Broke it in half, gave half to Russ. I ate half, and we didn't move the truck. We just sat and had that damn Snickers bar. Good on you, senor.
Thank you.
Let's hear it for Russ Wernimont, ladies and gentlemen. What a surprise career. Unbelievable. Switching gears. Let's go to the Louis Unser Never Give Up Award presented by Riviera Racing. The recipients of this award demonstrate a pursuit of excellence in the face of adversity. Louis was tough. He had to be. The health issues with his body never, ever dulled his fire for building engines. I mean, you could see it in his eyes. Louis had a way of looking at you where you knew inside that man was on fire. You're nodding your head and you've seen that look, huh? Absolutely. He never gave up. And it's because of his relentless attitude, his indomitable spirit, and the perseverance that there really couldn't be a better name for this award tonight. Like Louis, Chris Blaze personifies Louis' never-give-up attitude in his off-road career. It stamps you as Louisians are tough, and that's important. Chris Blaze never gave up. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2023 Louisians are Never Give Up Award presented by Riviera Racing, Chris Blaze. Yeah, and he's going to be accompanied by board member Frank D'Angelo.
Johnny Campbell, Scott Hardin, and now Tom Morris, who are all here tonight. My parents instilled in me the work ethic and tools I needed to succeed in this life. They did one heck of a great job teaching my brother and I how to be good people, how to be professional, and how to outwork everyone else without a single complaint. When I was a teenager, we had already started racing family enduros and winning, but I had no idea this other world of desert racing even existed. I was lucky enough to get a job at American Honda when I was just 18 years old. Ray Conway gave me my first chance to prove myself at Honda. Like everything, I started at the bottom and quickly moved up the ladder. From the beginning, I was always the guy all the different departments wanted to assist them. I was the guy that just got it done better and faster than everyone else. Johnny Campbell gave me my first opportunity to go desert racing. I remember all the work we did after hours to help prep the race team equipment for the next event. I did whatever it took to learn about the sport I enjoyed so much. Johnny spent a lot of time and effort to teach me everything he knew about desert racing and motorcycles. It was amazing to be competitive against the best in the business within a few years of racing. Back then, I raced 40 plus events a year and rode just about every other off weekend. I dedicated myself and it paid off very quickly. Scott Hardin gave me a chance to try out for the Red Bull KTM rally team while I was working and racing for Honda. I couldn't pass up the chance to go to the Dakar rally. This was a critical and scary time in my life. I was planning to buy a house with my wife, Patty, leaving my job at Honda, and trying to get on the KTM team in the same week. Patty knew I would make the team, and she told me to go for it. I worked and rode hard to impress the judges and made the KTM rally team. Kellen Walsh and I would become the youngest factory KTM rally riders in history at that time. I was able to finish 9th overall in 2005, 4th overall my second try, and 3rd overall in 2007, becoming only the 3rd American to podium the Dakar Rally on a motorcycle at that time. In 2007, my life changed at the Vegas to Reno pre-run. I crashed all by myself and broke my back. The first week in the hospital was the worst for Patty and I. We both knew our lives weren't going to ever be the same, and my motorcycle racing career was likely over. Luckily, I took many roles on at KTM before this to cover myself if I wasn't able to race someday. I had already been managing the KTM Baja program, working on the bikes, and racing on the team. After only being in rehab for about a week, I was already planning the Baja 1000 with my team. They needed me, and I needed them. I was building pit books and planning the Baja 1000 Peninsula run in rehab with Patty. I rocked it through rehab and was home in less than a month. In 3 months' time, we were down in Baja with the 100+ volunteers we rounded up, running the Baja team for KTM. During this time, I was also running my own business along with working with KTM. After a few more years with KTM, I decided to focus on my business and a new venture forming the National Hare and Hound Association, which would help the AMA promote the West Coast National Series. During this time, I decided to give back to the sport that gave me so much happiness. With the help from KTM, I was able to sponsor and mentor 5 riders that raced the series for many years. Patty and I enjoyed this a lot. After a good 7 years, I had 2 riders that really shined. I gave Skylar Howes his first real ride, and he definitely made the most out of the opportunity. He went on to do the Dakar Rally multiple times and become a factory Husqvarna rider. Another rider I'm very proud of is my buddy Ben Meza. He is here today to celebrate this moment with us. He was able to succeed in life, and I'm extremely proud of what he has accomplished. I've been racing the Can-Am X3 platform since 2018 now. Before I even had a car, I reached out to companies for support. Gary Freeze and Tom Morris were the first ones to jump on board. Tom called me back within an hour of me sending out an email that he wanted to help. I had no idea who this amazing person even was or his background, but I knew I was going to need suspension help to be able to race a car against the best in the business. Tom has been my biggest supporter and sponsor since the beginning of racing UTVs. I wouldn't even be close to where I am today without his help and guidance. It's not very often I find someone as motivated as I am to always push forward and be the best we can be. I look forward to working with Tom on the new Can-Am Maverick R platform that we should have shortly. Thank you to my amazing wife that never left my side. Patty supports me in everything I do, and I couldn't ask for a better wife. Thank you to my family for being part of my program and all of you sacrificed for me. Thank you to all our friends that dedicate their time to helping me. Thank you to all my amazing sponsors and Can-Am for believing in me and being their only factory-sponsored driver in a wheelchair. Thank you all for this awesome award and a chance to spend time with the legends of the sport. The possibilities are endless in this lifetime. Live your dream and never give up. Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much.
Go ahead and shoot it down fast. You got a lot of run out. I was expecting a whoopee out of him, you know. Well, listen, we've gone through the list, haven't we? And we did it together. You know, like our winners, they didn't have as a goal to be here tonight to talk about what we're talking about. For them, it was just what they achieved. It was their journey. It went from fun to fame. But what a journey. And every spoke in the wheel that I described has the same feeling about it. When you're inducted into the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame, something significant has happened. We've changed some lives here tonight. Maybe not a lot, but we've kicked some rudders. We have kicked some rudders. So we're honored at the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame to have these 9 new inductees. Our Hall of Fame is much better for their presence before they got here. So it's enriched. And so for my sake, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen of our audience, thank you so much for being the audience you were. Darn it. I mean, it's been my pleasure to be your host tonight. It's been a labor of love for Bob, honest to gosh. You're a family to me, and I'm proud to be here. So let's,
If you've got any beverage left, now's the time. It is for me. I've been pretty good for a couple of days, and we're going to mess that up right here. So here's to our off-road family. We wish you dirty miles and happy miles. Thank you so much. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. We are wrapped.
Tonight.